Hi guys, welcome back to Twisted Stitches. My name is Tammy. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody had a good 4th of July, maybe some nice barbecue, maybe saw some fireworks. So today I'm here for my regular chitty chatty podcast with you guys. So today I have a little bit of knitting. Yes, I've been picking up the knitting a little bit more. I have a little bit of crochet. I have a finished object. And one. All right, we'll call it kind of a finish. It's an object. I also have an object that it was finished crochet-wise like a while ago, but I never finished the sewing part. And I'm just gonna, that was part of something I did. That's what I've been up to. That's what I've been working on. So because I have a lot to talk about, what's new? Let's get down to, what do they call that? The brass tacks? Let's get down to business, okay, guys? Oh my goodness, my goodness. So let's start with, let me see how I wanted to start this. I don't even know. So let's start off with what? The finished object, and then we can get into what I'm working on and what's going on. Yeah, because you're probably curious because you're like, you haven't been around in a couple weeks. You should have some stuff done. So let's get on with the finished object, okay? So I will be right back in 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! Here it is. I don't know, it's kind of like a slouchy hat. I don't know. You make it like a slouchy hat, see, a little bit slouchy, or you could probably fold up the brim and pull it down a little bit more. This hat here is made out of Bernat blanket. Here, let me fix this. Hold on. Well, I'm not a hat wearer, but I'm going to leave this on. So you're probably wondering, well, you're probably like, well, so what? You crocheted it? No, I did not. This is not crochet. See, this is not crochet. Did you knit it? No, I did not knit it. Well, not really. It wasn't really knitted. You want to see how this was made? Do you want to see how this was made? Got a bug up my butt and I had to try it. So here we go. I made this on, ta-da! I bought one of these loom kits. This is the boy, I think that's how you say it, boy loom kit. And this one, I just picked it up because I wanted to see how it worked. I wanted to see if I liked doing it. Also, I picked it up because Tom is interested in doing some stuff with yarn, but he doesn't feel like he can work with a crochet hook or work with knitting needles. He just doesn't feel like that's like something that's going to work really well for him. So I decided, let's try loom knitting. And I wanted to see, like, how easy was it or how hard was it? Is it really hard to do? No, it's not. So I bought this particular loom kit at Joann's. Now at Joann's, it was like $24.99 or something like that, but I had a 50% off coupon. So it worked out to be like 15 and change or something like that. Like with tax, it was like $15. So it wasn't really bad because I did my research, and on Walmart.com and Amazon and stuff like that, they were running between $17 to $20 on the average. So because I've played on this, I really like it. I think it's fun. I mean, like, yeah, there's a lot of different patterns you can do and things like that. And you can do all kinds of stuff on the loom. You can make a hat that looks, just like you did it on knitting needles. You can do it with cables, or kind of like cables. I don't know if they're faux cables or whatever, but you knit, you can purl. This particular one is like super easy. It is totally basic. But this one comes with 4 rings. I'm having a brain fart. I have one of them right here. Actually, what's on the loom right here, right now, I will show you. This is the loom that I used to make this size hat, which, as you see, fits an adult head. I used Bernat blanket. This particular loom states you should use like a 5-weight yarn. Now, Bernat blanket lists itself as a 6-weight, but it's very like a thin 6-weight. I mean, for me, when I look at it, I put it more towards like a 5-weight category. So I decided I'll use the blanket yarn. When I bought the blanket yarn for that blanket that I'm knitting, I knew I had more than enough to play around and practice with on this. So that's what I'm using. But this comes with instructions. I have the, what do they call it? The hook. I have the hook in a drawer so it doesn't get lost. But yes, it comes with, here's the 3 rings. This one, I don't know, that would make like a humongous something. I don't know, maybe you can make a scarf or something with it. I haven't really looked at the directions. I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. There's ADD kicking in. Let me set this back in here. Let me show you the hoop that used to make this. It's this one right here, this orangey one. Now this is the size hoop. I don't know how many are on here. I'm going to count and I'll let you know. I'll be right back. This one has 36 hooks on it. So really, you wouldn't think that a hat would fit on an adult head with only 36, but it does. It does. And I have a large head and this fits on. I can slide it all the way down. Now, maybe maybe I did it a little bit loose. I don't know. But it really is, if you do the basic stitch, like, I don't know, is it the basic knit stitch? I don't even know what it is. I don't know what it's called. I'm not into all that. And I'm not going to get too crazy into it. It's just something that you can play with, like, while you're watching TV. It's like, for me, it was totally mindless. And what I did is I looked on Google. I Googled how to loom knit. And one of the first things that popped up was a YouTube video. The video, which I will link, I will leave the link in my description box if you're curious about playing around with loom knitting. Something that you might think about if you're curious about knitting and you don't think you can do it with knitting needles. This is fun. This is fun, guys. So the tutorial is called How to Knit a Hat. Super easy for beginners. And it is, and it was, you know, how to knit a hat on a loom. I don't know if it said on a loom, but it said how to knit a hat. So the YouTube creator was called, I think it's Tuteat. I will leave how it's spelt right here, Tuteate. There isn't any words. It's just kind of like music playing, but it gives you step-by-step direction written in English underneath in large, easy to read print. Super easy to follow. Like, I mean, it was, you know, you watch what they were doing and I did basically the same thing. Like I said, I know you could do a lot more. I've seen more intricate patterns done. I will think about the next time I play around with it. I may do, when I do the brim, I may do like knit purl, or, you know, 2 knit 2 purl or something like that, because I watched how to do the purl stitch on the loom and I was like, oh, that's easy too. So I may do something like that next time. I bought it for Tom, and basically what had happened was I was like in a really bad, frustrated with my knitting. So it got me out of being like super frustrated with my knitting. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, I have been knitting now for like almost a year, or in that time frame. I picked up the needles. I started playing around with it. I have knitted 4 or 5 hats, and I had pretty good success with it. And I'm working on the Habitation Throw and things like that. But what was going on with me is the purling. Now, I'm a continental knitter. I'm you know, I don't throw, I don't do English style. And I was so like over it. Like I I don't know if it's because I have rheumatoid, I have like, you know, problems with my wrists and stuff like that, and especially my left one. And my left one is the one that controls how the yarn is for purling, you know, bringing it in the front and using your fingers to like flick it down and get it out of the way to, you know, get your yarn, blah, 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 blah. You know, you guys kind of know what I'm talking about. You know, there's people out there you've seen it. Even if you've not knitted yourself, you know what I'm talking about, you know, with Continental. So I was really at a point where I was like, dang, I've been doing this for like a year, and I'm watching all my other friends who picked up the knitting like around the same time I did, and they are like having such success. Now, it was just real, it was eating at me. It was eating at me so bad because like I've done 4 or 5 hats. I don't remember exactly how many, and I don't know why I can't. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done 4 knitted hats, okay? Now, when I was doing the brim, doing like 2 knits, 2 purls, whatever the situation called for, it took me so long to get like 1.5 inch, 2 inch brim because of the purl stitch. You know, I'd go knit real quick, and then it was like a dread. I almost dreaded it. And I tried so many different like techniques, and I watched so many YouTube tutorials on like different ways of purling in the continental style. I even tried to purl English style, but I can't tension my yarn on my right hand. I just can't. I'm brain dead when it comes to that. It does not work for me. I have to tension my yarn with my left hand. That's why I have to do continental. So anyway, long story long, I know, sorry guys. I was like literally in tears because I started working on, which is going to be my next whip I'm going to show you. I started working on a knit hat, another knit hat, but I wanted to make it out of fingering weight yarn. And when I started this, and it was just, you know, tiny, teensy, thin yarn, and it was not going anywhere. Like the other hats that I knitted were like worsted weight yarns. Yeah, worsted weight yarns. And I used like a 5.5 millimeter knitting needles. It went, you know, it was just a little bit easier. The brim part was a little bit quicker. So when I decided to do this in the fingering weight yarn, which I wanted to make a very thin, lightweight hat for Tom to wear in the summertime, because he wears hats like almost all the time. He wears the hats I make him, you know, that cotton one that I made him. He wears a hat even in the summertime. So I decided, you know, anyway, well, I'm just going, you can tell I haven't been doing my podcast in a while, haven't you? Anyway, I literally had gotten, I don't know, maybe 10 rounds of the brim done. Now, 10 rounds with fingering weight yarn literally was like that much. I mean, not even 1/4 inch. And I was like, oh my God, I have got to do 2 inches of this brim. So if 10 rounds is 1/4 inch, it's going to take me 40 rounds just for 1 inch. It's going to take me almost 80 rounds for 2 inches. And literally, the tears welled up in my eyes. I'm like almost wanting to do it again. And I went, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I cannot, you know, you all know I've been working more with the lighter weight yarns, crocheting, which I love crocheting, no problem. And I've been, you know, starting with the Habitation Throw. I have some, you know, the fingering weight sock yarn on, and it's not, I'm going to say that that's not been a problem because it's all knit. It's the garter stitch. So no matter what you do, you turn your work and it's knit, and you turn your work and it's knit. So you know, that's not an issue for me. It literally, like, I cried. I put it down. I sat down and I put it down, and I spent like almost an hour just I didn't, you know how you get where you were like, I really can't get this, and I really am so upset. I was so upset with myself that I could not get it, that I could not get my hand, my fingers, or whatever to work right to do this. So I kind of got out of my funk, snapped myself out of it, and I was kind of trudging along, and I remembered some people, some of you guys were talking about, so-and-so does Polynesian. So I started looking up Polynesian knitting. And the way the Polynesian knitting working is it like goes around your neck, or you got these pins or something, and the way you hold it, I mean, I could see that would be easier in a lot of ways or whatever, but I don't like things around my neck. I tolerate my necklace, but I'm not somebody who really likes to have stuff around her neck. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, with the Polynesian knitting, I was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. I had seen another version of knitting, and I couldn't remember who I saw it with. So I looked up Stacy with Very Pink Knits. I looked up Brainlock. Anyway, I looked up quite a few people. So anyway, so Stacy on Very Pink Knits had something called Norwegian Purling. And I watched that, and I saw the way yarn is in the back, always in the back. So for Norwegian purling, you yarn over, easy to do, my right hand. You go in as if to purl, through the front, down like this, down into through the front. And you bring your needles up like side by side of each other. Then you yarn over once again. And then where your little window is you just bring your needle right through that little window. And then you pull your stitch off, and it makes a purl stitch, for me, a perfect purl stitch. And when I saw that, I went, I think this is what I need to do. I think this is going to be my way of purling, because I tried so many other ways and I was not having success and not moving fast enough, not at least normal speed. I was not even at a normal speed. I literally was like at a 0 speed when it came to purling. So when I found this, and just like everything, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders, and I felt like deep down, it was like a deep down feeling. You guys know what I'm talking about. I was like, I can do this. Oh my gosh, this is something I could do. So she was talking about it like it was like steps, like a dance. And she's, and so I watched her. Then I type in Norwegian purling, because now I want to make sure I'm definitely going to be doing it the right way, blah, blah, blah. So up pops Arnie and Carlos. They're Norwegian. They live in Norway. I know. It's horrible. They're so much fun to watch. Anyway, they Norwegian knit and purl. And they show some, blah, blah, blah ways on how to Norwegian knit and purl. And they showed theirs. And I watched that. And it gave affirmation to what Stacy at Very Pink Knits. And then another one, Roxanne Richardson came up and she talked about it. In my little search, I started seeing, I was like, okay, so now what do? I went and I started practicing it. But I practiced it on the hat that I am currently making. Long intro into whip number 1. So here we go. Yay! Whip number 1. Now, I know you're thinking, well, that's not very big. If you've been working on this for a while, how is that not that very big? And this is the reason. This actually was a lot bigger. I went in and I folded the brim up. I folded the brim in half, like from underneath. I don't know if you can see. I folded it and I knitted these together. Well, actually, I crocheted them together. Well, crochet knit? I'll tell you about that in a second. So what had happened was, because I was having so many problems when I first cast it on this particular hat, it was like the very first few rows looked like, oh, I was like, oh, I can't have a hat that the bottom cast on edge just looked, I don't know, it looked terrible. And I was like, oh, I know what I could do, because this particular hat pattern for the loom had called for, after you do so many rounds on the loom, you fold it up into it and then you knit around. And see, I don't know if you could tell, but this is a double thick brim. Here, let me show you right there. I'll show you after I'll take it off in a minute and I'll show you. So this is a double thick brim, and I went, perfect to hide my horrible, messy cast on first few rounds on this particular hat. So this hat is being made with Red Heart It's a Wrap. Now this is not the like sprinkles and the ones that have the the 4 individual strands that you got to hold together yourself. This is actually plied and spun into a very thin, it almost looks thinner than like regular, it looks thinner than even the merino nylon, sock knitting wool that I have. And it may be, it is really thin. It makes almost like a see-through material. It's really nice for, this is going to be used a lot more for crochet than knit. Just so you know, after this hat, this is going to become crochet projects. Yeah, definitely crochet projects. So anyway, this particular one is a superfine number 1, recommended hook size 3.25 millimeter, which is a D, or 2.75 millimeter knitting needles, which is a US size 2. This is 50% cotton and 50% acrylic. There's 1,100 yards in this. This is the original It's a Wrap. They had, they were like movie type motif things. I showed you some when I got some on sale at Michael's, and I showed you, let me show you real quick. I've got it right here. I'll be right back. So here is the Western one. I had picked this up the one time, and I told you I was going to make a top out of this, and it's going to be crocheted. It's going to be crocheted. Anyway, so this one here is called Documentary. I don't know why. It is what it is. So it's really soft. I really like it. Not really keen on the whole knitting with it deal, but yeah, I think it's going to make an awesome looking hat when it's done. I am at the point where that's all I have to do is knit in the round now, which goes pretty kind of quickly for me. This is probably going to take a while though, because literally it wasn't 80. So because I didn't do like 4 inches, I did 3 and maybe almost 3.5 inches. And I thought, you know what? That's going to be just fine for a brim folded in half. I was done. I was over it. But I can say that after I had done those first 10, 12 rounds trying to purl continental style, and when I went into purling Norwegian style, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulder, and I sucked it up. No more upset, no more crying, and I was finally it clicked, and I went, I can definitely do this. So the rest of this brim really didn't bother me that much. I have a few mistakes, and they're there. I have a few times that I guess I was tired and I knit where I was supposed to have purled and purled where I was supposed to have knit. I didn't care. I don't care. I really don't care. But it's because it'll be fine. It will be fine. And nobody's going to know. Who's going to know? Nobody's going to know. Anyway, so I think the brim is plenty wide enough anyway. It'll work, right? Right? Tell me it'll work. Call me pretty and tell me it'll work. Anyway, now I am enjoying my knitting. I am super happy. So why did I say all this? Why did I waste all this time blah about purling and crying and learning different things? Because if you're someone like me who's new to knitting and you're really just having a hard time making your hands work or grasping that whole continental style of purling, and it's just not clicking with you for whatever reason it is, go give Norwegian purling a shot. There are a couple extra steps, but really once I did 3 or 4 purls, it was like there. It was like, you know, I don't even think about it. And I take probably a millisecond more purling than I do knitting. So in all honesty, it's not really taking me, for me, it's not taking any more time. You know, people, you do the flicking method of purling because it's quicker. And a lot of people who can flick and do the purling that way probably would say that Norwegian purling for them would be kind of stupid because it probably would take them a little bit longer to do it that way. But for somebody like me who was having so much difficulty, this has been what has made me realize that I can knit and I can do this and I will continue to do this. Now you might say, why did you cast on when you had a knitting project going on and you said you wanted to finish that? So why did you do this? Well, besides the fact that I wanted to knit Tom a hat and I wanted to be made out of the fingering weight, I knew that the purling was, you know, that thorn in my side. And I was like, I've got to get a little bit more practice with purling. I have to make something that has to have purling in it, because really what has happened is I'll see a pattern and I have it in, you know, ooh, I want to do this. But then I look and I find that I have to purl all the way back. And I have not been attempting to do these patterns because I didn't want to purl. How are you going to purl 200 stitches back when you really are you're just not, you know? So I have been, that's what's been going on with my knitting. It's just, I was like, no, I can knit, but I can't purl. So I'm not really a knitter, you know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I said all that for this. So if you are in my situation and you're having difficulty for whatever reason, mobility problems, anything like that, or you just can't, whatever, give this a shot. I will leave the links to Arnie and Carlos. I will leave the links to Stacy at Very Pink Knits. That one in particular really was the one that showed me and helped me learn how to do the Norwegian purling. So I will link those in my description box. So if you guys want to go and check it out, it'll be in there for you guys. So that is what I'm working on. Now, I don't know, because I have not changed colors in knitting yet either. So I kind of want to, you know, switch this up. I was going to do a couple more rounds in this deeper, darker color that's in the middle here, but I kind of want to maybe put this outside one in, and then at the last one, maybe be this light color. What do you think, guys? Should I give it a shot? That'll be something else. I mean, I'm like so scared to do it. I don't know why I'm so nervous about doing it. Any other time I've knitted, it's just been, you know, however the yarn comes up, that's what I've been doing. So yeah, so that's what I want to do. So hopefully maybe next week I'll have this finished. I would really like to have this as a finished object next week. So yeah, I don't know, I'm excited. I'm so stupid excited now that I got this whole Norwegian purling down. It's just, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So this is my whip number 1. Yay! I know, I'm talking too much. Can I take this hat off? I'm getting really hot. Whew. Okay. Woo. Maybe I should have left it on. Oh, I put that down. That is a really warm hat, by the way. So blanket yarn. Oh, and another little thing I want to talk to you guys about, just so you know. Blanket yarn, this is Bernat blanket yarn, sucks when it comes to like cinching up to, you know, tighten up the middle here to close up the, what happened when I was trying to do this. I'm pulling, now I knew it probably was going to be a little more fragile. So I was pulling easy, you know, and then kind of, you know, cinching it myself and pulling, cinching it and pulling, cinching and pulling. And I got to a point where I literally could still fit like 2 fingers into the top of this, and I was like, I gotta cinch this up a little bit more. So I grabbed it and I kind of like that. It snapped. I was like, oh my God, it snapped. What am I gonna do? I went and grabbed one of my darning needles and like quickly grabbed some good acrylic. I think it was just, I grabbed the Hobby Lobby, I love this yarn in black, and I literally I took the yarn that snapped and I went in all the live stitches that were sitting still, you know, I just made sure I didn't move the hat around, and I went and picked up all the live stitches from the top of the brim, and then I pulled out that snapped piece, right? And I was able to, I knotted that little snap piece and I hid it inside, down inside here. I weaved it in and hid it inside so it was secured, so I didn't continue to unravel. And then I used the thicker, I love this yarn, the Hobby Lobby yarn, and I used it doubled, you know, like that. Cinched it right up, and I was able to tie it up real good, and then I was able to really, you know, weave it in real good and everything. So there's just, if you're going to make a hat that you have to cinch out of Bernat blanket, you may want to use another yarn, like a regular acrylic yarn, to cinch up, however you have to do it. So that was just a little clue. I almost forgot to tell you that, and that it was like, you know, scary situation for a minute. I was like, oh, I'm gonna lose this whole hat. I mean, you know, that was the top of the hat. That was the last part of the hat, and all of a sudden the yarn broke, and I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? So yeah, just hopefully that'll help you out, you know, if you're working with Bernat blanket, okay? I told Tom, but he insisted he wanted to still use this to make a hat, but probably what'll happen is I'll have to help him with the top portion of cinching it all up and stuff like that. But I got him some other yarn. I actually went out and bought him some nice yarn. Well, it's the Loops and Threads by Michaels, and I bought a nice tweed thick, I bought a nice 5-weight tweed yarn, like the Loops and Threads. I don't know what it's called, but anyway, I bought some for him. I bought him two skeins of it so he can make a hat like that, but he wants a black hat. whatever. He can have that black hat that's made there, because I probably won't wear it. I'm not into wearing hats. So now you're probably asking yourself, well, what else have you been up to? I will tell you what I've been up to. So now on to whip number 2. Now, I haven't been working on this as hard or as strong, whatever you want to call it, but I did do a little bit on this, and this I had done, this is what I was working on before I decided to do that hat. This is what made me click about the whole, you don't really know how to purl, or you're not a good purler and you need to practice your purling. You need to do something besides this to get your purling stronger, because this is garter stitch. This is total garter stitch. This is the Habitation Throw by Curious Handmade. Is that what it's called? So this here is the Habitation Throw by Curious Handmade, patterned by Helen Stewart. And the yarn that I'm using is Zoe from Felicity Yarn Studios. She has an Etsy shop and she has a YouTube channel on here. And she shows like all her makes and stuff. And she's a wonderful knitter. She does awesome stuff. You guys should go check her out. I'll leave all her information in my description box for you guys, her Etsy shop and everything. You know, I've bought yarn from her in the past. Anyway, this is from the advent calendar for 2020, inspired by Impressionist painters, the Van Gogh and all that. If you guys remember, I did all the opening last year. So this here is the last time I showed you. It was right here. I haven't done a lot, like I said. That's what had happened. I was working on this. I wanted to do a little knitting, and then my ADD brain went, you need to purl, and I put this down. Now, the funny little thing about where I decided to put this stitch marker is because I dropped a stitch. So I'm going to have to fix that. I popped a stitch marker in there right away to catch it so it didn't continue to unravel, because as you see, I actually dropped it on, I think this last row up here, or right before. I think I dropped it right down here. I am not sure. I'm not sure where I dropped it. honestly, it's going to take me a little bit to figure out how to fix this. That's going to be a bugger and a half. I'm going to tell you that right now. So that's how it's working up. This yarn is Scrundilicious. This is the cashmere merino. This is the merino wool, nylon, and cashmere blend. It is delightful to work with. It feels so nice. And I do want to have more time to work on this, but I have to play catch up on everything else, which oh, and I'm doing these on the Clover Takumis. This is 4mm. These are Clover fixed circular 4mm needles. I got these, I think at Michael's. I think I bought them at Michael's or Joann's. I'm not really sure, but both of them carry them. So now I think I got these at Joann's. So anyway, and I'm having a lot more luck right now, a lot more ease of, you know, my stitches staying on for me and not being, and it's also not sticky and not like, you know, where the stitches move still. They're not as slippery as my metal needles. So I'm kind of like right now I'm in the sticking with the bamboo until I get a little bit stronger on my knitting, because I don't feel like struggling with slippery needles and losing stitches. I lose stitches with the bamboo. So imagine if I was doing this on metal needles. Forget it. I would be like, I'd be back to sitting on the couch crying. So no, we're not doing that right now. Okay, so the reason why I'm not doing a lot on this is because I still have a few things that I am working on. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, working with fingering weight yarn, I love it. I love it, and I love the process of how everything is working up. I love the way it feels. I love the fabric that I'm getting from it. I am so excited to show you guys, but it takes a while. It really does take a while to get these rows rounds done. And that's, you know, it really, when you see that maybe I haven't done a lot, you know, like, oh, she only did 5 inches of knitting or 10 inches of crochet or something like that. When you're doing it with fingering weight yarn, y'all know, those of you who work with fingering weights like I do, it is time consuming and it doesn't move very, very fast. If I go and put something on a 4-weight or a 5-weight, you know, 5-weight or 4-weight yarn, moves just like that for me. But these are just fun, enjoyable, just, I know that the outcome is going to be what I want it to be. So let me show you, shush, Tammy. Let me show you a couple more things that I had worked on. Let me see. Do I have a couple more things or just I have one more thing? I may only have one more thing. So I have worked on this here. I did work a little bit more on the Sis Love shawl. The last time you saw it was right here. Can you see that? Can you see that cute little stitch marker? That stitch marker was given to me by Catherine at Kath's Eyes Catchers. Thank you so much, Kath. I just love it. Look at how cute that is. Isn't that adorable? I know it's not Christmas time, but it is Christmas in July, isn't it? So anyway, that's the last time. Now, if you remember, where I was telling you how the way the yarn goes from this lighter color to this darker color and then back to the lighter color, let me show you. This is what I have left of that very first cake. You know, this is the let me see if I can find a cake and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is the end of it. See how it gets lighter? Then right here, this is the darker, and now it's going to go out to this lighter. I'm not even sure if I have enough left right here. I don't think I have enough left. That's why I stopped to finish another row, because these stitches, I've got look at how many stitches are on here now. Oh my goodness, guys. So this is another process crochet. This is a process crochet. This is a crochet pattern, but it is still looking beautiful. Oh my goodness. I love this. I love this. I'm showing you the wrong side. Oh, I'm a ding-a-ling. Let me show you the correct side, guys. So, yes, and I even have the stitch marker on the wrong side. I'm so sorry, guys. So, yeah. This is how she's looking. Oh my goodness, she is gorgeous. She is beautiful. Can you see her? Yeah. Yep. So now I have to decide. The last time I talked about this, I had asked if I should go from the lighter, how it goes lighter to darker to lighter, if I should add on and go lighter to darker, or should I go dark, keep it dark, and then go light again? That's still where I'm still like up in the air. I had a few people say I should go back to the light and then go to the dark again and end at the dark, which I do kind of like the idea of ending on the dark. But I still have 4 more rows in section 2 before I even get to section 3. Now, I don't think section 3 has as many rows as like the other sections did, but I still have section 3 to go, and there's 3 optional borders, like which border I'm going to pick. I'm not really sure. I haven't really totally decided on all that. By the way, this is a free pattern on Ravelry. This is called the Sis Love Semicircle Shawl, and I will leave the link in my description box. The designer is Sis Handmade, and this was from the crochet along that Reggie at J Hook Crochet got us into, and got me into especially. But like I said, I'm at the point where I need to add in another cake. Let me see. Let me find a cake and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Here it is. Here is the cake. As you can see, these are good size cakes. These have 842 yards, 770 meters or 842 yards. I thought it was like 1,000 yards, but 842 yards. So like literally, I don't even know how much more I'm going to need. I'm going to have to calculate how much yardage that shawl used, because I haven't done my maths yet, and that's what I need to do. So I need to do the math to find out how much yardage and figure out how much more yards I need to put into this. So that'll determine where I'm going to take this. I don't know, maybe I should look at my stash and see if I have some, like maybe some tonal colors in fingering weight, you know, some of the fingering weight yarns I have. But I'm thinking that, yeah, because this is not just this right here, just this part here. I don't think this is going to be enough to finish the shawl. I really don't. So I'm going to have to figure out my math. I'm going to have to do my math, find out how many yards are in the pattern total, which is, you know, listed, blah, blah, blah. And then since I have 842 yards in it, how many more yards do I need to put in to make this pattern work? And what am I going to do? I don't know. Maybe I should go from the gold. Would the gold look okay? Do you think that would look okay, guys? If I went and see, no, I don't know if it's backwards or not. See where the gold starts? This darker gold here. Not the yellowy color, but the darker. Do you think that would look okay going back? Because that's right up alongside it anyway. Do you think that'll look okay using that darker color and fading back into the, yeah, that might work. That might work. And I might have enough yarn then to finish this up. Yeah, I have to finish this. Oh my goodness. I'm like so close, but so far at the same time. Especially with the yarn that, oh, I don't know what to do. Or should I just get another cake and just pull just these colors out? Guys, tell me, what should I do, please? So what do y'all think should I do? Should I use from here on, or should I grab the other cake and grab all this purpley and just finish it with the purpley? Like, seriously, I don't know what to do. This is totally holding me up on the rest of the project. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I had so much to show you. So that's really basically all I had been in the last couple weeks. That's all I've been up to, really. I did do one more thing. I don't know if you remember this purse here that I had made. This yarn was gifted to me by Neva from Manic Mama Creations. And this is Red Heart Super Saver in the color think it's just latte or latte stripes. And it's like a really pretty, look at how nice that worked up. Really nice. And I really like this purse I made, but I hadn't been using it. And I had showed the purse, but I told you that I needed to put a liner inside because I didn't want, you know, my little bits and bobs. I didn't want my little bits and bobs to come out of, you know, it's crochet. You can stick your finger inside crochet. You need, if you're going to use a purse for, you know, full purse purposes, you need to have a liner in there. So I did, this is the other thing I finished because I wanted to start using it. I put my liner in, I sewed it in, and I had to put it and sew the sides too. Yes, and I am not a sewer. I am not, and I don't have a sewing machine. I did it by hand. I did it stitch by stitch by hand. So that did take me a little bit of time. So that's another thing I worked on. But see, I'm trying to finish up what needs finished up. This was sitting, and I would move it around, and I was like, I need to finish that because then I can use it. Well, it's being used. I got my stuff in here, and I even have like a gorgeous, ginormous pocket that I made that I keep my keys in. See? All my keys are in there. So, yeah. I mean, like, seriously, I love this purse, and I've actually gotten quite a few compliments on it. People are like, oh, did you make that? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh my God, it's so nice. So I really like this. And I'm actually going to probably make myself another purse pretty soon because I have an idea that I want to do for another backpack purse because I use backpack purses because my back is a lot easier. So anyway, so that is what I have been working on, guys. That has been what has taken up my time, and I wanted to have something done to show you. And that's when it clicked. I was like, you know, when I'm working with these fingering weight yarns, which I absolutely love to do, I need to do a project, at least one project that, you know, maybe just a hat or something, which I'm still making hats for Hat Not Hate. So, and I'm thinking about making some hats and just donating them to shelters and donating them, you know, sending a package of them up north somewhere where people can use these things. You know, we don't really have to use them as much down here. So what I plan on doing, my plans are, so I have something to show as a finished object while I'm still working on all this fingering weight stuff, you know. So if I know I'm not going to be able to finish, like if I know I'm not going to be able to finish that shawl in a week's time, you know, because, I mean, let's be serious. I don't sit down and do nothing all day but crochet and or knit. I do have tons of other stuff going on, like many of us do. So in all honesty, I probably get, some days I'll get like a really long day where I have lots of time to work on something. And some days I'm lucky if I get an hour in, you know? So I really have to, you know, figure out a way to have something. I feel like I need to have something, you know, with a decent amount of progress to show you guys, because I'm missing being here every week. And I feel really bad not showing up, you know, for like a couple of weeks, but, you know, for the podcast portion, I know I have other things, you know, my yarn of the months and stuff like that. But at the same time, in 2 weeks, you don't have anything done. But hey, you know, number one, if I'm making myself something knitted out of fingering weight yarn, well, I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm a big girl. And it's going to take a lot of stitches, and it's going to take a lot more time if I'm using fingering weight yarn to make myself a cardigan or a sweater or a top or something in knitting. Well, even in crochet, it's going to take a lot longer time. I can't do anything about it. Now, if I make something small, of course, it'll go a little bit quicker. I was kind of hoping that this was going to be done. I wanted this done for today, but you know, like you guys know my heartache that I had with the purling, but now that I have my purling, I do believe that I'm just going to have a lot more things to be able to show you. And I'm really excited to get back into knitting a little bit more, getting my knitting skills stronger. So that's kind of like, I was kind of excited to show you the loom thing. I like it, guys. I like it. So I don't know. I like it. I think it was fun. I think it's entertaining. I think it's something that you can do like mindlessly. So if you guys are curious about it, like I said, I'm going to leave the link to the loom kit that I purchased. I bought it at Joann's. I will put Joann's link in there. But like I said, I used the 50% off coupon, but I'll also put in the other two that I saw was Walmart.com and Amazon, and I'll put those two in there too. So if you don't have a coupon, because $24.99, no, I'm not going to pay that. But with 50% off, sure, that's doable. So anyway, but like I said, I'll put the others in there too. All the patterns, all the yarns, everyone that I talked about in this podcast here, I will leave the links in my description box for you guys, so it's easy for you to find or get to if you want to. So thank you so much, guys, for being here with me. I appreciate you guys very, very much. You guys are the best. Oh, and by the way, I was tagged by Darla at the Crafty Yarn Owl, and she tagged me about doing a showing your like workspace. Now, my workspace isn't as messy because I just have like smaller, this is like, you know, this and, you know, just a couple little things. So I am going to do something kind of off the beaten path. So I decided that I want to do a tour, and you guys, you got to be good, got to be nice, be sweet. I'm going to show you a tour of this space, the stuff you don't see, the messy yarn space, my messy place where I record and get my videos ready. And I was going to do a tour. I don't want to put it on here. It'll be just a little too long. So I'm going to make a video for that, and I'll put it up in a couple of days. So I hope you'll go watch and be nice, and promise not to call the YPS, Yarn Protection Services, on me, because I'm a little bit yarn abusive maybe. It's a mess. It's a mess. I got so much to do. Anyway, so that'll be coming up in a couple of days. I'll put it up in a couple of days, okay? So stay safe, stay healthy, and stay creative. We'll be talking soon. Bye.